Hello everybody, my name is Cara and my channel is Wilde Book Garden. For my last guest video of 2022, I thought it would be appropriate to talk about some new releases because, you know, it is the time of the Goodreads Choice Awards and some that I personally think should have been on that list. I just have a few today and I didn't plan it this way, but I actually have one from 5 different categories, which I think is cool. Again, these are not like the only ones in these categories that I think should have been on there, but I just picked a few that I think have been really underhyped, and some of them I am like actually genuinely surprised that they weren't nominated, which is a bummer, but hopefully you find some that you're interested in. The first one I want to talk about is Go Back to Where You Came From, and Other Helpful Tips on How to Become an American by Wajahat Ali. This would have been in the memoir category because this is obviously a memoir and I think it's one of the best I've ever read. Wajahat Ali is so funny and thoughtful, and I think he does an amazing job of, obviously it's a memoir, so talking about his own life and his family's experiences, but then also connecting that to wider issues like Islamophobia and xenophobia and American history. And I just think, like, even if you're somebody who is maybe intimidated by nonfiction, or maybe you don't think of yourself as somebody who picks up a lot of memoirs, which I don't, that's not one of the nonfiction genres I tend to gravitate towards, I feel like this would still be a really, really fantastic book to pick up. Then I have a graphic novel. This is Garlic and the Witch by Brie Paulson. This is a sequel to Garlic and the Vampire. This I think should have been in the graphic novels and comics category. I don't remember if the first one was in the awards last year. I think maybe it was nominated, but it didn't get very far in the awards. And I'm honestly really surprised because I feel like this is exactly the kind of like cozy graphic novel that people might gravitate to. Like, obviously there's a lot of different kinds of graphic novels, but if you're looking for something really warm and cozy but not overly sweet and saccharine, I think this is a really great series. I do really enjoy the art style. The first volume is about Garlic, our main character, who is obviously Garlic. And one day they find out that a vampire has moved in near them, her and her whole little village community, and they all eventually decide that Garlic would be the perfect person to confront him because, you know, vampires are afraid of garlic. And Garlic really doesn't want to be the person who does this, but finally she agrees, and when she gets there, things are not as she expected. It's just a really lovely story about friendship and not judging people, and then this second volume focuses a lot on changes and dealing with change. I just think this is a really lovely graphic novel series. I don't pick up a ton of graphic novels, but this is one of my favorites for sure. Then I have a fantasy, and that is Unraveler by Frances Hardinge. Frances Hardinge I think is in general a very underappreciated author, especially in the US. I just think this is a fantastic book. This is obviously her 2022 release. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, the US release might have gotten pushed back to January. This is the UK cover, so maybe that is the reason. Like, maybe it's not eligible yet technically because it hasn't been published in the US, but I would still definitely recommend this novel. If you've been curious about Frances Hardinge, I think this could be one of the good options to start with, because I think it does the things that she's really good at in terms of the setting and the atmosphere and the fantastic character development and the really thoughtful themes, but it's not as intimidatingly whimsical as some of her books can be. I think the world is so fascinating. Unraveler takes place in a world where anybody has the power to cast a curse. There are these certain circumstances that have to happen, but anybody can have that ability, and then one of our main characters, Kellen, is the only person who can unravel those, which puts him in some dangerous situations. His best friend is named Nettle, and we find out a lot more about her backstory as well, and I always love Frances Hardinge's main characters, and these are no exception. It might be one of my favorite friendships from her books. So if you haven't yet picked up this author, I think Unraveler could be a fantastic one to start with. And I feel like the reason I wanted to talk about this book is, I have said this a few times, but Frances Hardinge is an author that I really think could take off on BookTube if people just knew about her. I think the kinds of world building and characters and everything that she does, I think are things that people really enjoy in the bookish community. So next I have Bloomsbury Girls by Natalie Jenner. You can see this is my ARC that I received and reviewed earlier in the year. This is a historical fiction book set very soon after World War II. And I don't pick up a lot of World War II historical fiction, but I think this is kind of a different take because it's more about the aftermath, and obviously people are still dealing with the things that happened during the war. This is set in England, and we follow 3 main women and a couple of other characters as well, but they're like our primary characters, and they all end up working at the same bookshop, and it deals a lot with women in the workplace at this time, and also like the canon and, like, you know, who gets to be considered part of the canon. And I am really surprised that this one didn't end up nominated in the historical fiction category because, again, it seems like the kind of book that would do well. I think that the way it talks about like feminist issues is so thoughtful, and the way it gives you a look at the time period is also really interesting and useful. I think the things that it says about books and writing and like influential women of the time are just so thoughtful. I thought the female friendships were absolutely fantastic, and I just think more people should know about this one. I don't know, it kind of went under the radar, I feel like. Then finally, I wanted to highlight a picture book. I think it is so stupid that Goodreads has combined the middle grade and children's categories. Like, not divided by genre is one thing, which is also annoying, but to like not even divide them by picture books and middle grade, I think is absolutely ridiculous. But I wanted to mention Berry Song by Michaela Goad. She also did We Are Water Protectors, which I think might have won in one of the previous years, which I think is very well deserved. That's a beautiful, so important, so thoughtful picture book, and one of my favorites. And Berry Song is also one of my favorites. And I feel like I didn't hear nearly as much about this one. As before, the illustrations are absolutely stunning. It talks a lot about this young girl who goes berry picking with her grandmother, and like it focuses a lot on like connection to the land and like nature and like these family ties. I just think it's really, really beautiful. I think Michaela Goad is officially one of my favorite picture book creators. And I think that Berry Song should have also been nominated. Like, I'm glad We Are Water Protectors won, but I think Berry Song should also have been nominated. But those are some recommendations I have for 2022 releases that I think got snubbed by the Goodreads Choice Awards, but at the very least, I hope that you check out some of these. As I said, Unraveler is kind of an honorable mention because I actually realized as I was recommending it that it might not have come out in the US yet, so I'll give that one a pass for now. Hopefully it is nominated next year, but I hope you guys found some books to check out, and thank you again to Literary Gladiators for asking me to be part of their channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon with another video, and I hope you love the next book you read. Bye!